Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for stopping in and checking me out. Appreciate everybody watching and your guys' input on the channel and stuff. So if you guys don't mind, please hit the subscribe button down here probably. That way it'll help me grow my channel a little bit. Definitely would appreciate that. Like I said, the faster we can get the channel growing, the more projects and stuff that I plan on getting out here in the garage and getting some more content for you guys. So, but anyhow, back to today's topic. We'll be working on my daughter's Can-Am again, right here. The last time we were out riding it, kind of developed a little bit of a carburetor issue. I think we got a piece of dirt bounced up into the carburetor. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the carburetor off, and we'll go through that and clean it out and probably put a new fuel filter on here. So let me show you what it's actually doing. Here, we'll go ahead and start it up. So yeah, whenever you give it some throttle, it's alright till you give it a little bit more. And see, it keeps dying out. So I'm pretty sure there's a piece of dirt stuck in the carburetor. We'll go ahead and get that pulled off of there. Alright, so when it comes to taking the carburetor off of this four-wheeler, of course, first thing you want to do, shut off the gas. And you're going to want to do that on pretty much anything you do. And then, of course, on this four-wheeler, the next thing you're going to want to do is I'm going to pull this boot off of the intake boot, and then there's two bolts up here to hold the carburetor on. I'll pull those out, and then that'll allow me to slide the carburetor over a little bit and get the fuel lines and the throttle cable and choke cable unhooked. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick and get that out here, and then maybe we'll get it up onto the workbench and start tearing it apart. So we'll see you on the workbench. Alright, we got the carburetor off now. It's pretty simple to get that carburetor off. One of the other things I like to do too before I start tearing it apart is I like to stick them in the parts washer and try and clean them up and get as much dirt off of the outside as I can. That way you're not knocking any of the other dirt from the off the outside down into the bowl or anything like that while you're tearing it apart. You know, the cleaner you can have this when you're working on it, the less likely you are to get dirt back in there. So we'll go ahead and start tearing it apart. Pretty much about the main thing you're going to need is just a couple screwdrivers, pretty much a Phillips to take these bowl screws out, and you're going to want a good quality screwdriver too. Like I said, you don't want to round off all them little bolts. Sometimes they can get frozen in there and they can be pretty tough to get out. So first thing we're going to do is, like I said, we'll get this bowl off of the bottom of this carburetor. Like I said, this one, it's just the two screws. And by the way, this is a Kian carburetor too, in case people were wondering. These screws actually come out pretty easy. Alright. Yeah, you can see we got a little bit of crud down there in the bottom of that bowl. So I'll clean all that out, and like I said, we'll come over here and look at this thing. And then right here on this carburetor, this is your float, your needle and seat that actually lets the fuel come in is right under there. So, you know, a lot of people like to set the float height, you know, and I always try and keep it level. That way you get the most amount of fuel in there. And then this here is the main jet, which will be basically used when you're at wide open throttle and mid throttle and stuff pretty much. And then this is the pilot jet. This one pretty much is the one that adjusts your idle and low end fuel mixture there. So I'll go ahead and get those out, and I'll check those to see if they got any dirt or debris or anything in there. Like I said, you can just use a straight screwdriver to get those out of there. That one's too big. Need a smaller screwdriver. There we go. Alright, now once you have those out, the float is just this little pin right here. You can just slide that over, pull it out. That's all there is to that. And then that'll lift up off of there, and you can see that the needle just clips onto there. So that's off of there. There's the pin. And then what I like to do here is take a little bit of carb clean and spray out all these passages and stuff and make sure they're all clear. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick, and then I'll get back over here. Alright, so I took both jets, took them over and took some carb clean and blew through them. And I'm pretty sure there's definitely a chunk of dirt or something in this pilot jet. So and there might even been a little bit in the main, but like I said, it's kind of hard to tell. I normally take a flashlight and try and shine up through to see if you can see light coming out of the hole, and that normally helps you see if there's any dirt or anything in there. So I got both of those cleaned out. I went ahead, cleaned the bowl out. So it's definitely a lot better than it was. There we go. So we got the bowl all cleaned out, and then I went ahead and sprayed brake clean, or carb clean, through all the fuel passages. Sprayed it down through the inlet, and then here you've got your idle mixture screw. All right, there you go. And then your idle screw right there. So I wasn't having any issues with it the way it was running, other than I'm pretty sure I just got a clogged jet. So I didn't pull these out and clean any of these. But you can see this one, it just goes down and hits the slide, and that's all it does to adjust the idle. And then this one actually has a little passage that comes up through. So I didn't take those ones out and clean those, but I'm pretty sure we'll be okay. I don't think I had any issues with this. So we're going to go ahead and put this back together, and first thing you need to do, of course, put your jets back in. The big one's the main jet. You just thread it back in there, and then you don't get carried away cranking these down, because they're just brass, so they just kind of get snugged up. You get too carried away cranking them down, then you'll twist the ears off of them or strip them out, and then it's just a pain in the butt after that. So you just gotta thread them in there and just snug them up. And then next thing you're gonna do is your needle. You're going to, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little wire on the end of that you have to slide up and over that. There we go. And then I normally just stick my finger on there to hold it in there, and you just set it back down in the hole, slide your pin through. And then, like I said, I always try and keep mine level. If you wanted to adjust it, then you would bend this here, and that'll change your float height. But like I said, I'm not going to be changing anything. I just wanted to go through and clean this carburetor up and get some of the dirt and stuff out of it. So we got that on there, and then next thing you want to do is put the fuel bowl back on. And then same thing, you just put these screws in, and like I said, they don't have to be crazy tight. They just snug them up. Like I said, you don't want to strip these bolts out because it just makes it more of a pain in the butt on you later on. Alright. So there we are. We got the carburetor all cleaned up. Choke and everything moves nice and free on there. So next thing we're going to do is put it back on the bike. Alright, I got the carburetor back on. Like I said, it's actually pretty simple on this four-wheeler. One of the things you want to make sure you do is these two bolts up here on this intake flange. You want to tighten them down pretty tight, and also keep an eye on them because I've had them rattle loose on this bike a couple different times now. So like I said, I always kind of check those, make sure those are tight, and make sure they always stay tight too when we're riding, because like I said, I've had a couple other issues where this thing starts running funny and I found those bolts were loose. So tighten them up and that fixed it. One of the other things I did too, I forgot to show you guys, is, let me see if I can grab a light here. This four-wheeler also has a, I guess you can't see it, but there's a fuel filter right in here. There it is. So, and so I went ahead and put a new fuel filter on there. And the old one, it was pretty dirty. There's the old one. Like I said, I've had this bike for a couple years and I've never changed it, so it was due to be changed. So now I guess the next thing is, let's fire this thing up and see if it runs any better. Turn the choke on. Well, there you guys go. Got the carburetor all cleaned, and seems to be running much better now. So it was a little cold there at first, but it's kind of cold out here, so probably should have let it idle a little longer, but it definitely seems to be running better than it was. So now maybe my daughter will be having a little bit more fun out there instead of trying to drive this thing while it's spitting and sputtering on her. So but there we go. We got the carb all cleaned on the Can-Am DS90, and like I said, it's a Kean carb, so it'd pretty much be the same on almost most of your four-wheelers, especially if they have a Kean carburetor. So there's not a whole lot of difference. It's just the size. I mean, pretty much all the jets and everything, they all operate and function the same way. So I hope that video was helpful, and like I said, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you guys don't mind. It'll help my channel get views and get out there a little bit, and we can grow it a little more. And like I said, I'd like to get some videos of us out doing more riding and stuff, but just this time of year it's kind of cold, wet, and yucky outside, so And not to mention it's deer season around here, so it's hard to find places to go ride. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope everyone has a good day, and catch you guys on the next video. Thanks.